Still won't change your mind?
What with this?
All right, let's get over the bumps. Your record says you've got brains, and the sooner this is settled, the better. We can all get back to our Sunday lunch, colour supplements, and a glass of beer. I take it you like a glass of beer yourself?
Now and then, sir.
Good. Tally it up.
What, just like that? No, sir.
Sergeant, what the hell are you playing at?
I'm doing my duty.
But you were off duty in the first place. You didn't say you were a policeman, you knew who he was, and you let him hit you.
He says he was provoked.
You picked on him outside that pub.
That's his story. Mine's on that charge sheet.
Well, why did you charge him in the first place? You're a CID man?
He was drunk, sir. He's still drunk, isn't he?
All right. He had a few too many. Unwinding at his local.
You, haven't touched the tea, sir. Shall I get him to fetch another cup?
No.
Hello, boy. What's your name then, eh? Oh, is this your whistle, is it? For dog's ears only?
And those reporters, how did they get wind of it?
I've no idea, sir. Probably someone at the pub.
Oh, all right. We'll get round that one later.
After you've got round me.
I don't like the way you put that, Sergeant.
There was a witness, sir. She saw him strike me.
He claims he raised his stick because he thought you were going to attack him.
That's ridiculous. He went too far. He's a big pompous bastard with a foul temper.
All the more reason why you should have seen him safely home.
Have I your permission to carry on, sir?
Sergeant, think who he is.
Makes no difference in my mind. A cabinet minister should know the law better than most.
The law doesn't carry through with every charge.
I never expected to hear that from you, sir.
He's an important member of Her Majesty's government. No one could stop you playing this by the book, but you may find the book being thrown at you.
Oh, where is he?
Frank, have some sense.
Lunch has been waiting over 2 hours. Where on earth have you been?
I'm sorry.
I was beginning to think something had happened to you. I'll heat the soup.
No, don't bother. I couldn't eat. My digestion's been ruined by a damn stupid policeman.
Oh, you've been to the ministry?
No, it was some trouble locally.
Is that why reporters are hanging about in the square?
What? Oh, no. Telephoto lens. They probably photographed me stepping out of that blasted police car.
You've been photographed a million times since you took office. What's wrong?
Oh, they've got some lunatic in the local division, a plainclothesman. He claims I assaulted him.
You did?
Yes. The fellow stopped me on my way home from the pub.
How much did you have to drink?
Oh, now, don't you start.
Well, what happened?
Well, he asked me the time, and then he turned on me quite deliberately. Yes, I suppose I did lose my temper a little in a relaxed moment.
And you've been in a police station?
Unfortunately, some woman saw me raise my stick to him.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, don't worry. I think he's going to be all right. They've got some top brass over from Scotland Yard. I dare say they've dealt with him.
I hope so. You've got such a temper, Hugh. Only people who know you understand.
Yes, well, we'll just forget all about it, shall we? Look, I think perhaps I will have something to eat after all. Oh, now what?
Detective Sergeant Harriet. Please, telephone call from Mr. Ward.
Hello, Susie.
Hello.
Hello, Ben. Drew. Your son of a gun.
Welcome home, traveler.
I thought I'd have a word with you first.
How was the trip?
Oh, slightly rough.
It doesn't show. Say, everyone thinks you did a great job out there. A great job.
What about the top man?
He'll tell you himself, I'm sure.
Well, your empire hasn't changed any since I've been away. What's this, a new gadget?
Oh, it's a new technique for evaluating types of people. It's called an EPS machine.
A what?
Electronic personnel selector.
Ah, push-button psychology, eh?
You might call it that.
You'll push yourself right out of a job.
I doubt it. It still needs a trained psychologist, just as it needs people like you.
Ah, good.
Sit down. Sit down. It's good to have you back.
6 months in Australia choosing personnel for an oil refinery. Challenging. And the next time they could send one of these.
You, come straight here from the airport?
Yes.
Did your brother meet you?
No, he didn't.
Well, have you heard from him?
Frank, not a word. Why?
I'm afraid you're in for a shock. Read that.
He's bringing a charge against Hugh Bishop.
Democracy with a twist.
Why would Frank make a petty charge like this?
I wouldn't know. I'm sorry, Drew. It's not much of a homecoming for you, is it?
Yes, it was Sunday lunchtime. Yes, that's Frank Herriot, all right.
If you're looking for a reason, there's still a trace above my eye.
Yeah, but what was really behind it? Were you told to get Bishop?
No one was out to get him.
I know what's come over you trumping up a charge like that.
What do you mean, trumping up?
Well, just because a drunk takes a swing at you, the tough old rugby player gets clobbered every Saturday.
What do you mean, trumping up?
All right. Unnecessary, then.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Technically, I could have had him a dozen different ways, creating a disturbance using insulting
Frank,
language.
you're talking like the kind of policeman you despise. Don't you realize your name's on the rotten end of a public scandal? Are you all right?
It's that damn music. I wish they'd turn it down.
I can hardly hear it. I'll get you another drink. 2 hours of bitter, please.
You're Herriot's brother, aren't you?
Yes.
2 and 4. And you can drink those up and get out.
Is that the way you normally talk to a customer?
Hugh Bishop is also a customer. He'd come in here every Sunday lunchtime for 12 years. We all liked him very much.
This is Bishop's local.
Is it?
Did you know him? Drink with him?
No, never.
But it was outside here you had the brawl.
Well, what of it? I did my duty. Does that keep me out of the pub?
Do you mean you just don't care? You'll come trooping in here as usual with your rugger pals as if nothing had happened.
I'm sorry about the drink. I'm afraid I have to be going.
Oh, before you do, just tell me one thing. What does Anne think about all this?
Oh, no idea.
Well, don't tell me she hasn't made any comment.
Well, we split up 3 months ago.
Yes. 3 months ago. I got this job just after I left Frank. It's not bad. I've got my own room in there and I like looking after the children.
It's a pity you and Frank didn't have any.
It's a blessing we didn't. I suppose you think it's my fault.
I didn't say that.
True, I don't think you ever quite got used to him marrying me.
Frank found you first. Anne, what happened?
Changed. It wasn't my doing. I loved him.
You mean you don't anymore?
He doesn't have any feeling for me. Doesn't have any feeling, full stop.
You can't have changed that much in 6 months.
You haven't lived with him. He's all right on the outside. Perfectly normal, I mean, but a few months ago he seemed to withdraw.
Why? Had you quarreled?
No, there was no anger involved. It was just a kind of emotionless withdrawal. He'd wander around the house for hours without saying a word.
What, old Frank? Maybe his job was getting him down.
That's what I thought. So I thought he might have been drinking or even taking drugs because of his headaches.
Headaches?
Yes. He claims he doesn't have them, but I'm certain he does. Quite severe ones. Yet he's fit. He goes on playing rugby with the police, and I know he passed a routine health check not so long ago.
Maybe it wasn't thorough enough.
Well, I suggested he should see his own doctor. He just blew up. That was the only time he showed any sign of emotion.
And the rest of the time?
Cold. Unbelievably cold. Drew, this will shock you, but I'm a bit surprised by what he's doing to that poor man.
Oh, why? From what I can gather, they hardly knew each other.
Well, they'd met.
Passing in the pub, perhaps.
No, they'd spoken, or Rather they'd had words.
You mean a previous row?
Well, Frank and I were out for a walk in the park one Sunday. The Bishop was there with his dog. I suspect he was a bit tipsy then.
What happened?
It was such a silly incident. Bishop had a dog whistle, you know the sort, and he kept blowing it. I think there's something faintly ridiculous about people puffing away at silent whistles. But to my amazement, Frank suddenly turned on him and told him to stop making a racket.
It must have been a joke.
That's what I thought. But Frank claimed he could actually hear the dog whistle.
A silent whistle? Well, I never knew Frank had supersonic hearing.
Well, he really behaved as though he'd heard it. You know, it's funny. He's lost his feeling for music, too.
Well, don't say you're going to arrest me. I let myself in from that jungle that used to be a garden. With a key.
Oh, yes? Where did you get it?
And catch. You used to play a lot.
Yes, sir, I haven't felt like it lately.
Anne says you can't anymore.
No doubt Anne said a lot of things about me.
I told her not to be ridiculous. People don't just stop being able to play unless they go deaf or something. And you're not deaf.
Well, that's fairly obvious.
Unless you've gone tone deaf all of a sudden. Has your hearing been affected by this amazing facility I never knew you had? This place is a shambles. You're not looking after yourself.
That's exactly what I am doing.
The middle of winter and no heat in the house and no fuel for the boiler out in the kitchen.
Well, I don't feel the cold.
But the house is freezing.
I'm probably too used to the sun after Australia.
Can I have a drink?
Yeah, help yourself. Nothing for me. I have to go into court.
The assault case?
Yes? Stay off the subject.
You'll ruin him. If it isn't him personally, what are you trying to do? Shake the country? Make a name for yourself? Because you've done that all right. It stinks. In fact, the whole thing stinks. Almost as if you're being bribed. Or is it blackmail? What's the matter? Are you in pain? Anne mentioned headaches.
I've got a headache, so I can't stand being badgered. Now leave me alone, will you?
Look, I haven't fixed up a flat yet. Why don't I move in with you?
I'd rather you didn't.
Well, you've got plenty of room.
I said I'd rather you didn't. Where are you going with that suitcase?
It's for Anne. I collected a list of things she wanted. This had her initials on
It
it.
contains things of mine.
They're all in there on the bed. Nothing's been stolen. Unless you count an old newspaper I used to line the case with. Listen, I arranged to meet Anne for a drink at the pub tonight. Why don't you come along? Well, you might make it a celebration if you get a conviction in court.
I don't think I want to meet him.
I told him we'd be here.
I don't like this pub very much either.
Well, this is Frank's local. He always comes here.
Resign?
Well, I couldn't do anything until I was actually convicted. That would be letting down the popular concept of justice.
You think you've had justice?
I hit the man. That's what mattered.
But, darling, why resign?
Well, I can't remain in office.
Hugh, this isn't really the end. The government's bound to offer you some other job.
I am the object of public ridicule, a source of shame to the government. You work hard. You get to the top. You put your foot in it just once. And you go down to the bottom.
Left for Brazil this morning in response to an urgent summons from the leader of the delegation. Interviewed at London Airport, he declined to comment on the newspaper reports, but said he would be making a statement when he discussed the situation with his colleagues. There was, he added, no immediate danger of an international crisis, although the Prime Minister was keeping in close touch with developments. Fog patches today reduced visibility on some stretches of the N1 to as little as 10 yards. Further hazard was caused shortly after 6 o'clock when a lorry and trailer collided with a pillar of a bridge, partially blocking the southbound lane.
Sit down.
No one was
I'll get you a drink.
And normal traffic conditions were restored after a delay of about an hour.
Another half a minute, please.
Foot and mouth disease.
How are you?
Fine. What am I supposed to be, jealous of my brother having a drink with my wife?
Drew's concerned about you. About us. Look, Frank, I will say this. Being with Drew makes me remember the person you once were.
I have a news flash here about Mr. Hugh Bishop, the minister who was today fined £3 for assaulting a plainclothes police officer. It says that shortly after writing his resignation this evening, Mr. Bishop was found dead at his London home. As we announced earlier in this bulletin, Mr. Bishop...
I think we'd better drink up.
Oh, why? His death's got nothing to do with me.
You just don't care.
Well, what shall we drink to?
Why did it have been an ordinary burglar?
Burglar wouldn't bother with a nanny's room. It must have been Frank. He knew he'd be at the pub.
But what was he after?
You know, the only thing that's missing, a paper hat.
A what?
It was in the children's nursery. They swore this morning they hadn't destroyed it. I made out of an old newspaper.
A copy of the Daily Bulletin?
Copy of the what?
The one I put in the suitcase I brought over.
Well, yes, it was.
I told Frank I'd used it. Why on earth would he want that back?
I don't know. It was months old.
He must have been keeping it for some reason. Did you notice the date?
No, nothing really registered. It was just any old piece of... Wait a minute. Summer sales ads. It must have been a July issue.
Are you sure?
Well, yes.
Can you remember anything else? A headline?
No.
A picture?
Well, there was a picture on the front page.
Big, small, home news?
I don't know, Drew. My mind's a blank over that, too.
Why didn't he ask for it back? Why risk being caught as a thief? I shouldn't have lashed out at him last night. I was trying to break a sheet of glass.
I wish you luck. Drew, I know you've only been home a few days, but what do you think is the matter with Frank?
As a psychologist, I would say that his personality change is probably due to some kind of pressure, which could be mental, could be physical. Maybe even a bit of both. Would account for his headaches, too.
These are proofs of the advancement for the Bridge North job and a list of shipping candidates. First interview 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Right. Thank you, Susie. It's all yours, friend.
People to be turned inside out. I'm supposed to be an expert. I can't get near Frank. My own brother. I don't know what makes him click.
You're taking quite a beating over your brother, aren't you?
I can't accept him as the ruthless, officious type.
Why? Because you know he isn't?
Well, for all I know, it could be blackmail. Someone could have made him do what he did.
Yet he doesn't seem to be the least bit sorry about Bishop's suicide.
Well, what about these headaches? And this hearing thing?
Well, they may be due to some kind of auricular abnormality. You know, there are people who claim they can hear ultra-high frequency sounds, even though they're very rare.
What causes that?
Well, freak oral membrane structures that gives them this unusual receptive power. Now, as far as your brother's concerned, there's no telling how far this power extends.
You mean how much noise does he have to put up with inside his head?
That's right.
Ben, do you think Frank's brain could be affected?
Oh, I really couldn't say. Has he seen a doctor?
No.
Well, do you think you could persuade him to have a brain check, an electroencephalograph?
Ah, in his present mood?
Since you're so worried about him, maybe I can get hold of an EEG machine and fix up a special set of headphones.
Will you come this way? Your brother is expecting you.
Well, what is it this time? Another interrogation?
I wanted to say I was sorry.
Is this your office?
I use it for interviews.
Says Dr. Polson on the door.
Ah, a sharp-eyed detective, eh?
Who's Polson? Why doctor?
Psychology. We work in pairs investigating people. Or personnel, as they're impersonally known.
Yeah, same setup as a charge room. Chair just far enough away from the desk to keep them on their mettle, huh?
Ah, no, you're wrong. Either Polson or I sits there. It's the interviewee that sits behind the desk.
You make them feel at home by giving them these buttons to play with, huh?
Oh, no, that's not just top dressing.
Well, what is it then?
It's a way of testing reactions. Quick decisions. The candidate has information fed to him through these. Depending on what he thinks, he presses a button. Yay, nay, delay. The machine records his answers and the speed with which he gives them.
You are attending a vital sales conference first thing in the morning. Instead of following your usual routine, would you arrive at the office early so as to get with it that much quicker? Answer yes or no.
Sounds like a quiz for budding tycoons.
Yes? Right. Frank, will you excuse me for a moment? Something just came up. Make yourself at home. Why not see if you're a budding tycoon? Well? He's not putting them on.
I've never known anyone yet who could resist that box of tricks. It didn't take you very long to have a go yourself, remember? There, what did I tell you?
You made out a special set of questions for him.
A twofold test. His push-button answers should give us one sort of pattern. The brain machine should show us something else.
A member of your family is taken seriously ill, but you have important work on hand. Would you delegate and immediately leave the office?
Alpha waves. That's funny. The machine machine's working all right, but that's not the response I expected.
He thought about the question and answered it. What do you mean?
Just a minute.
Your secretary has mixed up dates. You find you are to lunch with a new and possibly rewarding client, at the same time as an appointment with an old friend whose business is not very valuable, but who has said he must discuss something important with you. Would you opt in favor of seeing the new client? Yes or no?
A is for apple. Apple, that's right. And B for bird. Bird. Aren't you good? C for what's that funny man? Clown. And D for dog. 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 Dog.
I went over the graph while you were at lunch. It's amazing.
What does it show?
Virtually nothing.
You mean Frank's perfectly all right?
Look, Drew, before we started, I tested the machine myself. Now, this is me thinking about nothing much more than bills and the weather. Now, look at the pattern on your brother's graph, ranging through a series of deliberately framed questions. Suggestion of illness in people close to him. Difficult decisions involving friends. Hypothetically panicky situations. He made decisions, all right, but all the time his mind stood right outside the problems.
Well, what about this bit?
Well, in a break between questions, I threw in an ultra-high frequency signal, something far above what you or I could normally detect. And look, distinct beta waves indicating tension and disturbance.
So the sound got through to him?
Well, there's no doubt about that. Proving that he does have unique oral perception, as we suspected.
Well, what else have you proved?
Well, I don't know how to say this to you, Drew. Judging from this graph, it would seem that your brother is totally lacking in normal emotional reflexes.
You mean Frank's become some kind of mental freak?
I've never come across responses like this before, and yet there's something about it that rings a bell. I'd like to do some research.
What sort?
There's a brain specialist I want to talk to.
I'll find out.
Sorry, I didn't have a chance to change.
With your kinds of personnel.
What's the matter? You look as if you'd seen a ghost.
That's not quite how Polson put it.
Who?
Dr. Polson, our staff psychologist. Frank was here a short while ago.
Seeing Paulson.
Well, not exactly seeing him. He arranged a test for Frank using this.
What is it?
It's a way of reading the brain.
What's the matter? Is Frank ill?
He has no known illness.
That something's wrong.
What brought you here?
What? Oh, I remember what was on the front page of that newspaper. It was a picture of Alsatian dogs.
Dogs?
Yes, they'd gone over a high-wire fence onto a railway line and been electrocuted.
How many languages can you converse in?
Adequately in 3, French, German, and Italian. And I suppose I can list her in Spanish.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fox. I've been expecting a very important call. Hello? Ah, yes, Doctor. Good. Fire away. Jane what? Ottershaw. Yes, I remember. About 5 months ago, wasn't it? And there was no explanation. Well, did you do an electroencephalograph?
Oh, you mean our issue of July 2nd last year?
Oh, that's very efficient of you.
No, not really. Somebody was in here looking for it yesterday. It wasn't unlike you, as a matter of fact. Oh, I still got the bound file here.
It's gone.
What?
Torn out.
What?
Can I buy a back number?
Well, not for that date. There is only one other copy, and that's in the library.
Can I see it?
No, no one's allowed to remove them.
I must check that paper. It's most important.
Did you read it by any chance?
I'm afraid not. I don't know anything about it except the date.
Look, there must be somewhere I can see a copy.
Well, there is one place you could try.
There we are. photostats.
Thank you.
For years, we've been working our fingers to the bone with scissors. Now we're photographers. We had the story you picked out cross-indexed with all the others. Whole string of them. Funny sort of business.
What?
It's a wonder one of the big papers didn't see a tie-up.
Yes.
Nothing else you want tonight?
No, Susie. You run along. I'll see you in the morning. Oh, on your way out, will you see if Mr. Harriet's back? I'd like a word with him.
Right. Good night.
Good night. Drew, come in. I've got news for you. These strange regular patterns on your brother's graph. I was sure I heard of something similar somewhere, and I was right. Do you remember the Ottershaw case about 5 months ago, the woman who was accused of sabotage? Well, apparently her brain graph had these same regular patterns, the same absence of emotional response as your brother's. You know, I don't know... Hey,
He was working late on a private project. I think it was something he wanted to talk to you about.
Yes, I think I know what it was.
The cleaners found him this morning. I don't understand how he could have made a mistake with his own machine.
Neither do I. Dr. Paulson had a long strip of paper, a graph.
Yes, he had it spread out over his desk when I left him, along with some notes.
What's happened to them?
I didn't touch them.
Do you know what they contained? Did he dictate them?
No, he jotted them down from a phone call. He took a personal call while he was interviewing one of the shipping candidates.
A phone call from whom?
The man didn't give his name.
Could the police have taken away his bits?
No, I've been here all morning with them.
Are they still in the building?
I believe so. As a matter of fact, Mr. Harriet, the detective in charge is your brother.
Frank. Thank you, Miss Wilson.
Morning. Yes, I got quite a shock when they sent me down to check a fatal accident here. I thought it might be you. Too bad about Paulson, good friend of yours.
He was?
Well, for a psychologist, he didn't have much savvy.
His actions were usually highly precise.
Well, he'd been all right with an ordinary set like these. Now, why two sets? One with special wiring?
I couldn't say.
Well, that hardly matters now.
No.
Well, it seems fairly straightforward. Tired, working late, plugged in the semi-darkness. Ought to have ring mains here, and the fuse would burn immediately. Of course, it could have been deliberate.
Murder.
Or suicide.
There are easier ways.
True. Well, we've taken a statement from his secretary. You happen to know what kind of work Paulson was doing last night?
Specifically?
Yes.
No, I'm afraid not. There should have been some papers on his desk. Didn't you find any?
No, nothing at all. Just this tape recording of an interview.
Interview with Mr. Thomas Fox. For transcription, please, Miss Wilson. Mr. Fox, I want to ask you, first of all, about your long-term ambitions.
Well, I dare say what he was actually doing isn't of much importance. It'll be a misadventure, though I expect the coroner will have something to say about the headphone manufacturers.
I think he made them specially himself.
Well, this will make sure nobody else wears them. I think you actually had them on my head.
Come in.
Paulson murdered?
I feel as though I pulled the switch on him myself. Frank must have guessed about the brain test.
You think Frank did it? Frank comes back here as a detective.
This is his division.
I found out why he kept that copy of the bulletin. There's a picture of police dogs, his own photographs there as well. He was doing a refresher course at the police college at the time.
It says here the dogs went hysterical and jumped over a wire fence onto the line.
Yes, but look at the other stories. They're all about dogs panicking in places as far apart as Fort William and Brighton.
What could it mean? Oh, Frank couldn't have made the dogs go berserk.
I've been trying to puzzle it out myself, but look at the cutting from the Carlisle recorder.
Signals?
Inaudible to most animals, and they assume to humans. But suppose not to all humans.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Is it?
Whose signals?
What did Paulson find out? What did those tests show?
They confirmed what you felt about Frank. He's without emotions, as if he's been brainwashed. But I think Paulson found out something else that linked up with that strange graph. He had some notes, but they'd gone, and I don't know where he got his information from. He had a phone call. His secretary said he took a phone call while he was interviewing. He always left this tape recorder on. There's just a chance he didn't turn it off in the booking.
Smart enough to check that.
Only the beginning part, to see what was on it. Now listen, I think this is it.
Adequately in three, French, German, and Italian. And I suppose I can list through in Spanish. Sorry, Mr. Fox, I've been expecting a very important call. Hello? Yes, Doctor. Good, fire away. Jane what? Ottershaw. Yes, I remember. About 5 months ago, wasn't it? And there was no explanation. Did you do an electroencephalograph? Well, was your graph steady all the way through by any chance? Because I seem to have stumbled on the same thing. Yes. Yes, that's what I think. One last question, Doctor. Did she show any signs of unusual oral receptivity? I see. Well, thank you very much, sir. You've been very helpful. Goodbye.
Exeter.
You didn't mention a place.
I read about it in Australia. Jane Ottershaw was on air traffic control. She talked a plane into the ground with 2 air marshals aboard.
Yes, I remember now.
They put her in a hospital, but they never found out why she did it.
Senseless act.
No. An act of national damage. A blow against morale.
Like Frank caused by arresting you, Bishop.
I watched the game.
Ah, you enjoy it?
Playing a bit dirty, weren't you?
No, well, rugby's a tough game.
I played.
Yeah, wing 3. It's a sister's position. You get into trouble, you run away.
You never kicked people in the guts before. It's the one he didn't get sent off.
Well, how's your friend Nanny?
Do you care?
Not much.
You damn well ought to.
Oh, you seem to do enough caring for both of us these days.
She's my sister-in-law.
So?
Do you ever send her any money?
No, why should I? She left me.
You made her leave.
Come back any time she likes.
And live all on her own.
But if you come here to watch me play rugger, I'll start a quarrel. I've been thinking, you know, Drew, you and I, we're in the same business.
Are we?
Yeah, poking our noses into other people's lives.
I suppose you could put it that way.
Well, keep out of mine.
I know quite a lot about you, you know.
Well, what's that supposed to mean?
It's a strange, confused picture, a wild abstract.
Are you raving about?
Frank, I want it explained.
What?
Let's start with the newspaper.
Newspaper?
The one you broke into Anne's place for.
Well, why should I want to do a thing like that?
Dogs. Your picture.
What's all this about?
You kept the bulletin story, but there were more on the same lines.
What, all about dogs?
Look, I want to help you. What's the link between you and that woman that crashed the plane at Exeter?
What woman?
You're the same as her. Paulson found out. Something's happened to you. Don't you know it?
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I haven't the remotest idea what you're talking about.
All right. You killed Paulson.
Oh, really? And what are you going to do? Turn me over to the police?
Look, I want to help you before you're completely dead as a human being.
potatoes.
From McCrae. It's a good Cypriot name. Do you have a 2-shilling piece? No doubt on expenses. You might even come and spend some of them in my club sometime. Oh, thank you.
It's not on expenses.
Oh? Well, what do you want?
You wouldn't like to go back, would you? Deported by the British government.
Oh, you're after a favor. I can tell.
Exactly. I know I can count on you.
Because, I have no alternative.
You, haven't lost your touch, have you?
Oh, that was me frowning. Looking very surprised and a little shocked. You're serious? You really mean?
Your own time. Your own place.
And, if not...
What happened, Drew?
I didn't get anywhere with him. The wall's up solid.
Become a complete stranger to you, too. What are you going to do?
So I understand you supplied a set of photostats to a Mr. Harriet.
Mrs. Harriet, you mean? Mrs. Anne Harriet. Hello? Hello?
Come on! Oh, hold on. You all right? Come on. Whee! What are we going to sing then, eh? Okay, come on. Whee! Come on! Come on! Frank, what do you want? I asked you, what do you want?
You got those newspaper stories for Drew?
He wanted to help you.
You shouldn't have got yourself involved. Then I'd have left you alone.
What do you mean, left me alone? Is Drew all right? Frank, I asked you, is Drew all right? What's going on? I'm saying, is Drew all right? Listen. What's been going on? What's been happening, Frank?
I'm not Frank.
What do you mean you're not... Is it the signals? Is it something to do with the signals?
There are more of us.
What? More of who? What? What do you mean? More of us? Drew, you're the one who was meant to be killed.
You mean the gunman made a mistake?
No. Police said it was the man that Frank had some kind of a hold on.
And Frank wanted him to shoot me?
You knew too much. Bounced back and destroyed him instead.
Wasn't he already destroyed?
Drew, I'm frightened. Something terrible's happening. I could only tell the police about the shooting, but It goes much further than that. Frank said more of us, but who? What are they like? Like him? Like the woman that crashed the plane?
If there were signals, like the newspaper cutting said.
Signals from where? From another country?
I don't know. But it does seem as if someone's out to damage this country.
Weaken its morale, you mean?
Yes, it could be.
But these other people, the ones like Frank, are agents?
Somehow Frank was brainwashed. I'm sure of that now. These others must be the same. Look, it could be any one of them. People of all kinds. Possibly 2 or 3 dozen of them. Spread out all over the country. People in small jobs, people in big jobs, waiting to strike some blow. How much damage have they caused already without being recognized? How much more are they going to?
What can we do?
We've got to find out what's behind it. We've got to go after them. You and I. Who else can we trust?